I mean, if you ask me, Billboard's new rule changes is going to help the hip hop genre a little more in terms of its commercial performance. And it might, how do I say this in a way that doesn't seem like hip hop is directly competing with country, but it might even up the competition just a little more, right? So let's talk about this. Billboard rule change. Streaming will now have more weight on Billboard 200 and Hot 100. As you can see here, one album unit will now equal 2,500 ad supported or 1,000 paid subscription on demand. So you kind of get the idea. I don't want to go too much into the numbers, but basically, streaming will have a little more weight because now, the album it'll count more on the album sales, but also on the Hot 100, which is for the individual songs. It'll have. I'm gonna paraphrase here, but closer to equal. Be on equal pairing with radio. So if you remember last year, the conversation was, hey, some of these records that are on the Billboard Hot 100, they are dominating mostly because they get a lot of radio airplay. The streaming numbers weren't exactly that high. And, you had a lot of records that were debuted in that did have pretty solid streaming numbers, but of course didn't have high radio numbers because radio is archaic, and they also play a lot of demographics games. So it kind of caused this weird imbalance, and then you get stand bases that are like, it's a conspiracy. But what I found was that genres like country, right, would kind of have a leg up, and pop as well. I want to bring pop in here as well. But you would have, at least with pop, we all knew that pop records would have the streams plus the radio records. So when it would be high up on the list, we would go, okay. But you had some country records that weren't getting that high in streaming numbers, but because they are so, I guess if you ask America, I don't want to bring the race politics conversation into it, but you ask America's like, yeah, this song fits a lot of different type of stations. They would get a lot of airplay. Then you had the other stuff, right? The shiesty stuff, right? People say, hey, radio directors, labels can manipulate this, that, and the third. So that got weird where a lot of fans felt like streaming is straight up, right? Like you choosing who you want to stream, or at least if you listen for free, the algorithm works with you. It works with what it kind of knows you want to hear. What I do want to point out is very important, though, is that a lot of people don't look at this other than the fact that I think it should equal the playing field a little more as far as the commercial performance of rap songs as a totality in comparison to genres like country. You still need to get a hefty amount of streams to be at number 1, 2, or 3. So people got to be mindful. This is not it's not going to change much in terms of, being a top record every time. You gotta, to temper that a little bit. Now, I do want to throw in one more thing here that I think is kind of interesting, right? So after that announcement, YouTube pulls a kind of big boy moves, and in that, they are going to make sure that they're no longer going to factor into Billboard chart calculations. And their statement is that, Billboard uses an outdated formula, and this is their reason here, that weighs subscription-supported streams higher than ad-supported. That doesn't reflect how fans engage with music today and ignores the massive engagement from fans who don't have a subscription. So now, this is a big boy move because where YouTube's saying, hey, now go calculate your stuff without us. All right, go calculate who's on the Billboard Hot 100 if you're not going to give us the same amount of say, because the younger folks now are listening to stuff on YouTube or even YouTube Music, etc., but mostly through YouTube with the ads, right? And what I think is funny is now YouTube is probably going to most likely start putting out their own charts, and they're going to, want their charts. They have charts now, but they're gonna start probably making their charts a big deal that you want to have. You want to have the number 1 spot on YouTube Hot 100 or something. They'll create something that kind of makes this, other than that, the song rankings that you see when you go watch a video on YouTube or something like that. They're gonna create something. And I do also know there was that one time where they released a list of like the most streamed musicians on YouTube, and you guys were really confused. And I was like, yeah, there's a different audience. Like a lot of NBA YoungBoy fans listen to stuff on YouTube, right? Like, I mean, you had Doechii fans. I was like, Doechii fans on YouTube a lot. So a different world going on there, particularly with the young people. So YouTube pulling this move, I wonder if other people will follow. But yeah, like that stuff you saw with the top 40 this year and hip hop not being up there, I think when you have the changes that you're having now, this should help the hip hop genre more because hip hop is one of those records that you have a lot of younger fans, and it dominates streaming, as a genre in totality. Make sense? All right, cool.